Need to open the video that is being streamed live. Look for the chat box on the side or bottom of the video player. This is where you can type your message. Click inside the chat box and use your keyboard to type out what you want to say. You can type words, use emojis, or even ask questions. Once you've typed your message, press the enter key on your keyboard or click the send button. Your comment will then appear in the chat for everyone watching the live stream to see. If you want to send another comment, just type it in the chat box again and press enter or send. Your new comment will show up below your previous one.
One 150th episode of the Frankly Speaking Jamaica Podcast. It's our final live episode for this year. First, let me thank you for joining us. And remember, the same link will take you or those whom you send it to the recorded program later. I'm Frankly McKnight. Special thanks to our regular panelists, Winnie Brown, Desmond Richards, and Mary Grange. In addition to the serious matter of the murder of Barbara Gale, we will discuss Christmas traditions in Jamaica and encourage you to consider new beginnings or resolutions for 2025. This program will also tell you about Alia Johnson, who is pleading for you to help save her sight. Now, we don't have a motive just yet for the murder of Barbara Gale. There is a lot of speculation about why a man stabbed Barbara Gale and bashed her head, killing her in her home in St. Catherine. Frankly speaking, the cruel act against a 77-year-old woman has angered, disappointed, saddened, and shocked many, not just among the journalism fraternity or the legal community or in our church or home community. There's a kind of shiver that went through this nation earlier in last week. An elderly woman just living a quiet, helpful, peaceful life. A community behind gates that should provide protection. A sense and sentiment that no one is safe anywhere. Frankly speaking, the bigger issue, and indeed the biggest issue, is how we can stop these senseless murders, these many murders. How we can fix the hate and anger and bad mind so much abroad in this society. How we can change values and attitudes. Frankly speaking, the many tributes surely have helped us know that Barbara Gale was a very kind, well-loved, humble, decent, godly, and nice human being. As a professional, she was among the best of journalists, accomplished, helpful, dedicated, disciplined. Now, Desmond Richards will give us an update in a while when we get in. He will give us an update on where this story is. For the moment, we want to move to a little lighter side, a little softer side of the nation. And I asked Winnie to come in with traditions of Christmas that she can remember, that we may all remember. She's looking back. Now we are going to get back to the Barbara Gale issue. Desmond Richards will take us there, but let's go with Winnie. And remind you, I should have reminded you, I'm sorry, should have reminded you to keep sending your comments. You can send them also to our WhatsApp number, 503-9995. That's 876-503-9995, as well as directly to the channel. and we will read them as they come. Winnie, over to you.
Yes, it is. It is really sad to come in with something happy just after sad, but it bears relationship to exactly what is happening in Jamaica and all around the world now. Some people are sad while others are busy getting ready for Christmas. And this time of year is a time that is, in a song, the most wonderful time of the year for many of us, for merchants and many of us. One of the things that I love about this time, we don't have much of that these days, but the caroling that would begin in my neck of the woods. The first day in December is time for the Christmas carols, and people would get up early in the mornings and go from house to house singing carols, and that was so much fun, enjoying the caroling. And my favorite of those Christmas carols is "Oh Holy Night." So that is one of the things that I dearly love. The food was another thing. Now, if you had food no other time of the year, there would be lots of food, and we'd get ready for the strangers to come in. Some people coming from abroad, some people coming from other parts of the island, and Christmas dinner was special. A number of us would get together. One person may be cooking the rice and peas, someone else doing the chicken, someone else doing the curry goat, someone else making the salad and the sorrel. You draw the sorrel not on Christmas Day. That will be done before. And for those persons who should not be having any alcohol, your sorrel would be separate because no rum would go into yours. But above all, for the food, there was always enough for passers-by and for the shut-ins in the area. You know that
Food,
Storm is
really,
alone at home. We
food too
make
expensive. Food too expensive now. We can have that kind of Christmas
we make
dinner again.
we make sure
Welcome,
we
Desmond.
share.
Welcome, Desmond. We'll come to you in a little while. We
We
just
make
wanted
we
to
make sure
take us up
we
on
make
Barbara.
sure we share that kind of camaraderie. We make sure we share. Those who cannot, there are some people who can still afford food. So those who can afford the food would share. And no matter how small it is, ball go, pack it come. Somebody brings something and you're leaving with something else. So those are the most important things. The decorations, well, I noticed that they sell white lime at the store no, but people used to make the white lime, and you color the root of the trees and the stones around it, and that was a beautiful sight. And also there was something, the vuvuzela is the closest thing that we have now. We call Fifi, and the starlight. People talk about firecrackers. The starlights, those were my favorite. So most of those things don't happen anymore except for the food and the fellowship
The
that,
radio program
that
inside it.
families come together at this time.
Number
So
4.
Desmond really wants to talk about what cannot happen, but that is what happens with the number of persons still. We still have the food, the Christmas cake, some call it pudding, some call it cake, but whatever it is, we still have
Yeah,
that black cake or
no.
Christmas pudding. Yes. So
Yes. And
that's it for
thank you,
me.
Winnie. Thank you very much. You mentioned the sorrel there. And last week
Yes.
we talked about
Yes.
food. Last week we talked about food. Desmond, we're hearing you. But last week we talked about food. And do you know that sorrel, which was 2 weeks ago, between $400 and $500 a pound, was in the markets around St. Anne anyway, between 800 and $1,100 a pound this week. And we're not going to get past the food thing, because food is a thing that you have to have every day. But
Yes.
let me tell you something, that food issue is a big issue that's going to keep coming back to us in Jamaica. It's
Yes.
a major
Yes.
issue.
It's
Gungo, as you
important.
pointed out, has almost disappeared. and food is a major issue. But we're going to come to it. Mary, you want to tell us one of your traditions that you... Desmond, we're coming to you shortly. We're hearing you, Desmond. We're coming to you shortly, Desmond, to fill us out on the Barbara Gale. But we're going through Christmas tradition. Go ahead, Mary.
I don't celebrate Christmas, Mr. Matt, because I'm Jewish in my spiritual beliefs. So we celebrate tabernacles and the other feast days that are called holy days. But I do say for the Christians who celebrate Christmas, I do love the lights, because right now at my shop, right across from my shop, Shops at Southdale Plaza has put up the most amazing lights you can see at Christmas. And then when I walk out my shop, so they have put it up for me and them, I suppose, because I'm not going to put up any. So I walk out my shop and
you don't put up lights either, Mary?
No, we for Hanukkah we light candles as Jews, and usually the Christmas and Hanukkah sort of crossover sometimes. Yes. But I do for the Christians, the lights would be the most important thing that I love, that you guys are part of your celebrations.
Okay, and some other time you're going to have to tell us about...
I'm not too biased with the cake.
Some other time you're going to have to tell us about Judaism.
Yes.
Yes. You know, one of the things I remember is those firecrackers that you mentioned, Winnie.
Yeah.
And there were all sorts of things. Well, you know that it came to a time when most of those things were outlawed, right?
Yes.
You can't get... But we had all manner of those. You had one of them called Shiboom.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
But there was
the boys.
The Starlight, there was the Thunderbolt, there was the normal, what we call clappers. All of these
clappers, yes.
And you know, we're making a sort of circle in speaking about those things, because those were made illegal because of the violence.
Yes, the crime.
Increasing violence.
Yeah.
And arguments that people use the sulfur from them to get into. Well, these guys are now just importing their whole for guns and bullets. They don't need any firecrackers to do any of that.
But
and then there was the cleanliness.
You can't tell the difference, because last night my neighbors were setting off the crackers, and I was so scared thinking it's a gunshot.
Yes.
Well, I don't know, but I know that you're not supposed to import any of those.
It's still illegal.
It's still illegal. Not supposed, and you have to get permits to do the fireworks and all of that. But that's out there. I also want to mention that thing about the white line and the cleaning up. And the cleaning up that went on in many communities, all across the communities, and also expressions of kindness. I think Winnie, you mentioned there the caroling. Well, caroling still goes on in some parts, you know.
Yes.
For example, I happen to know that some communities in St. Anne had little caroling. I know one service club did it. I know that Monique College, for example, did it. And some of those things stay. But it's a sense of community that's going away.
Sir Matt, Food for the Poor is doing it today, actually, in our community. Other part, Food for the Poor is going around in the community and doing the caroling.
Okay, that used to be an every morning thing, right, leading up to Christmas.
When people can't go out at 5 o'clock time in the morning.
Yes,
again,
that crime again affects everything.
That's
shuts down a country.
The real Jamaica. Desmond, before you tell us about, you update us on what's the situation of the Barbara murder. We're not seeing your face so clearly. You can lean forward. But you remember any of those Christmas traditions, Desmond? Is he hearing us? Desmond, you're not hearing us.
He's muted. Unmute, Desmond.
Desmond, unmute. Oh, okay.
He's driving.
He's not. Desmond, you're muted.
No, he's muted. He's not.
Not hearing us. Okay.
No.
All right. Mary, we're going to go to you. I don't know why Desmond.
I was following in the trend of Winnie, who had a light note.
Franklin.
Okay. All right. He's there.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes. So what you were asking me again?
Well, I was asking you if you could tell us about any Christmas tradition that you remember before you go on to give us an update on the Barbara Gale situation, what you know about.
Well, I want to tell you something, Franklin. I am not big on Christmas celebrations, One thing I can remember the John Kunu as a boy. But when it comes on to Christmas celebrations and traditions, it's something that I don't put a lot of emphasis. And from I was a youngster, I don't put a lot of emphasis on Christmas because we are tricked, Remember, we are celebrating the birth of Christ, and Christ was not born on Christmas Day, so we are tricked. So I don't. It's not something that I put a lot of emphasis. I can't change it. It's something that has been around, and I am not attempting to change it. But I don't pay attention to it. I must tell you that.
I want to address the not born on Christmas Day. I want to speak to that. There are a number of Jamaicans. The day that they were born is not that day on their birth certificate.
No, Winnie, we're talking about Jesus Christ.
I know we're talking about Jesus Christ, but I'm talking about the fact that some people say because he was not born on that day, particular day. If you say he was not born, it's a different business. But I don't believe that he was born on that day, but that's the day that his birth is celebrated. That's why I made the point that there are many people.
So we are being
the day that is celebrated.
Winnie, we have been tricked, Winnie. Winnie, we have been tricked, right? We have been tricked.
That's why some people's birthday.
It is a lie. It's a lie that was we are living. This celebration is a lie, right? But as I said, it is Christmas time. We are accustomed to some things. Let them go on. One thing.
But you know that is a trick.
Yes. One thing I can tell you.
You wouldn't give Christmas gifts around to like little children.
But Desmond, not Christmas, some Christmas cheer, the same doom and gloom going into the new year. I have some great resolutions for you, so coming up. So stay.
Mary, can you some of those comments?
No, I am dealing. No, what I am dealing, it is the reality. It is Christmas time, but it is a sad Christmas for a lot of Jamaicans,
There's a time for everything under the sun, Brother Desmond. It's a time to be merry and happy, man. Lord, come on. Let's see what the people must say.
No, hold on. No, but hold on. Yes, we are going to hold on. Christmas is going to be celebrated, It is. You and I can't stop it. You and I can't stop the celebration, But what I am saying is that it is a very sad Christmas. All right, it is a sad Christmas for the relatives of Barbara Blake.
All right, then we're going there now. But Mary, can you just give us some of the comments?
We'll get on to Barbara's sadness in a minute. So we have some people who have joined us online. Jeffrey Worrell, good evening. Ruby and Forms are regular people. It says good afternoon to everyone. Owen Richards, thank you for joining us. He says, I'm really amazed at the prices of locally grown foods in Jamaica. When the storms and stuff doesn't really help us. And the seasons, things always go up in season. Rose Petgrave, give us a lovely smiley face. She's into her emojis. So I'll give her some kisses. So welcome everyone to the show.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Yes.
So Desmond, I was going to say that it's a sad time. Go ahead, Desmond. We're going back.
It is a sad Christmas for thousands of Jamaicans, right? First of all, one of the things, and I am not saying that this is the only Christmas that this is happening, but there are thousands of Jamaicans who are having difficulties buying food because of the cost of food and the cost of living. Then the tragedies, right? The killings, right? The murders, they are everywhere and they're affecting people. They're affecting the lives of people. can you imagine this 77-year-old woman in her home, and she was killed by somebody who she knew? This is not just a stranger. This is somebody who she knew, and based on the information, somebody who she gave things. She was she assisted that person, and here it is. That was the same person who took her life, right? So,
well, Desmond, is it only reasonable for us to say that all of that so far, all of those things so far, are speculation to a certain extent? We don't. Nobody has been charged yet. Am I correct that nobody has been charged yet? And am I correct in that we don't have a motive yet? Because people have been asking that why it happened.
no, Franklin. One of the things that when you ask that question, one of the things that we don't realize now. Let me just say something. That all of us on these programs were teenagers. Now, when I reflect on my teenage days and talk with people who are young people like myself, there's a significant difference between today's teenagers and when you were a teenager. The world has changed, significantly. These teenagers, they are, first of all, there's a thinking among teenagers right now about getting rich. When you were a teenager, we were taught that we must work. Today's teenagers, there are a lot of young people today who are not in that. They believe, as a matter of fact, their technology is aiding them, right? Scamming is aiding them, and therefore they will take your life for material things. Look at what is happening. You will see the majority of the people who are being killed are young people, and significant numbers are young people. So it is not hard for me to believe that young people, because of greed, will kill you in order to take things from you. That is the world in which we are living right now. So
Desmond,
I am not.
Desmond, if that is so, it means that more and more policemen and more cameras might help, but they can't be the solution.
No, it can't be the solution. We need. You mentioned it the other day during our discussion. We need a revolution. Yes. We need a revolution in the thought process. The young people need to be re-socialized, right? Too many young people are having babies, and these babies are not socialized properly, right? And therefore, they grow up into teenagers who want things. Franklin and my colleagues, look how many young people are leaving school today unable to read. When you were a teenager, that was happening. Try and remember if that was happening. We are dealing with a generation now that is in need of socialization.
Well, the problem, I believe, Desmond, is that most of the older people robbed that generation of the things that made us who we are, because everything is too harsh. If the things that will help them to grow, that's too harsh. Everything has to be easy. You pat them, you reward. Most people don't believe in reward and punishment. Everything is too harsh. It is important to have both reward and punishment, not only rewards.
What do you mean we rob them of this? I don't understand.
What made us what we are?
Yeah.
For example, when my mother said no to something, it meant no. Now, anything these children want that their parents did not give them, they get it. Anything they want, anything they ask for, they get it. Children don't raise themselves. They don't buy all these expensive shoes and what have you, so much so that a child will be mocked and jeered because of the kind of shoes that you wear. The older generation is not just the young people, the older generation did not socialize these properly.
Because Winnie, you're right. Children and their attitudes and their values just don't drop out of the sky. Children are groomed and grown by their guardians, which should be the parents. But you see, there's just this vast thought and blame that the government should grow the children and take the responsibility from the parent. It's called parenting for a reason. It should come from the people who decide to conceive and give birth to offspring. Children are not the government's responsibility. And until the media people start blaming parents for the crime, the violence, and the badness in the society, and stop calling on the government, parents will continue to push out children and to run ruckus on the society because they don't see the responsibility.
Mary, hold on there. Mary, one of the primary responsibility of a modern state is to provide security for its citizens, my dear. Don't forget that. Don't forget that.
Brother Desmond, this is the problem. You right there is the problem. The state can only provide security to the extent of the people that it is securing. If you put out nothing but criminals, all it puts is pressure on the state to provide what? High security, higher security, higher security. It starts with people culturing their children into a culture of security. Government can't fix it on the back end. Parents must pay rent.
Security. Security is one of the primary function of a modern state.
We don't.
Right?
It's not two different. It's two different sides of the same coin. The parents need to do what they need to do, and the state. But remember too that if the parents don't have the right kind of children to put in the security forces you're talking about, the problem continues.
What do you mean? What do you mean by the right kind of children? I don't understand that. What do you mean?
In the society, we don't have quality offspring. If parents are not grooming quality children, then we will not have a quality workforce, and the government can never provide quality security in the country. See the circle? That's just it.
No. I will not participate in any discussion that is going to let off the state of security. The citizens. It is not the duty of the citizens to provide security in a state.
No,
we're not
saying that.
More robbers and criminals in the society.
We're not saying that, Desmond. The state has a responsibility, and parents have their responsibility. It's not either or. The state.
Desmond, let me ask you.
We are not saying.
Let me just ask you something. You mentioned a while ago about the young people and how they are behaving and their greed and their indiscipline and their wanting what they want quick and so on. How is that tackled? And that is a fundamental part in it. How is that tackled? Is that tackled by the government or by parents or both or by whom?
Well, parents have a role to play in socializing their children. Remember, children start socialization at home, you know. That is their first. That is their first institution, you know. So parenting is part of what I am saying.
Yes.
Taking care of your children is not a government responsibility.
Thank you.
Right? That is not what I don't support that view.
Well,
right?
I'm happy to hear that. May I have a comment from Keith? Keith
Yes,
says,
go ahead.
The millennial has spoiled the new generation because they are given everything they ask for, as Winnie was saying, especially those who are living abroad. When they cannot get it, they will rob, steal, and kill. Keith, you're on point with that.
And Jeffrey is right.
Jeffrey is right. Everything is connected. It's a vicious cycle.
And they
give the
Let me ask again something of
we're going to live in a security camp.
Let me ask you something of all of you. When we have the communities, the types of communities where we have, with tremendous amounts of squalor, not just ghetto community, we talk about ghetto communities as people call them too, but the squalor, the lawlessness in those communities. Whose responsibility is that? Start with you, Desmond. They don't have proper toilet facilities, they don't have proper garbage disposal or system.
Public cleansing.
Lawlessness, they have thief in light, they have all of that. Whose responsibility is that in those communities? And can those communities contribute to lawful development of the society?
Public cleansing is the state responsibility. To keep the streets clean is the state responsibility. To keep your yard clean, your environment clean is your responsibility, right? So the situation in the communities that we are talking about, it is the state must play a role in cleaning up the environment in the communities, and citizens must play a role in keeping their surroundings clean, right? So therefore, we one of the things that we as citizens must never do, we don't just litter the place, we don't just throw garbage on the street, we don't do that. But cleaning the street.
Let me hear before Mary comes in with the comment from Marshall. Let me hear, Winnie, how you respond to that I just gave you, because some communities are disintegrating, you know. I mean, and we see them and they're filthy and they're full of theft, all kinds of manner of theft, and there's this disorder in them, and they're breeding criminality.
There's tools for crime and violence.
Go ahead, Winnie.
But look at this. How are those communities created? What gives rise to them? And who are the people who occupy these communities? What's the mindset? What are they thinking about? You have areas where people are poor, but you see the little space that they have, they keep it clean. They don't just litter everywhere.
No civic mind.
But Winnie, we have a whole heap of those communities and we must talk about them and we must admit them. And what Barbara Gale's murders affords us, is a horrible thing to have happened, is for us to examine ourselves and examine the society. And we've been doing a little bit of that here. We've been disagreeing. But we have a lot of those communities in this country, and it will never be able to keep down criminality and the violence that we're having based upon what we're seeing. Mary, you want to give us some of those comments before we move on, or you don't?
Yes, I'm going to agree with Keith Palmer, who gives us the order: home, school, church, then state. Marshall Lee says, please do not blame parents. I have seen firsthand where parents try very hard to socialize children on the correct path, and extended family members and their friends negatively influence children. Yes, Marshall, we are aware, and family and parenting is, to me, synonymous. It takes a community to raise a child sometimes. Kevin Davis says, considering that it's concluded that everything is connected. Indeed, it is. Marshall Lee is saying, seeing is believing. You have to be in the shoes of some parents to observe how hard they try. Kevin Davis come back and say part of the solution starts with implementing personal development programs, making it mandatory, at the same time engaging and fun. In conclusion, I will add my 2 cents. I grew up in a very poor community, in a very poor family, but I had a mother who understands the meaning of civic pride. And she, in her small, poor poverty downtrodden way instilled high, sky-high values that Mary Grange, that has a ring to it, today cherishes and has grown and bloomed from my mother parenting. All the negative influences got me from time to time, but every time I went off course, I can hear my mother's voice in my head, bringing me back with the spirituality needs to come back.
Yes.
It is what set morals and values and boundaries in children.
Yes.
Without God, you're going to do everything. You're going to fall for everything. Crime is not a crime because you don't know the difference between right and wrong. Without God, dirt is clean because you don't know the difference between clean and dirty. So parents need to use the Bible and keep them children to the straight and narrow.
Preach the word, preacher, Mary, preach the word.
And I say amen to that. I say amen to that, Mary. Amen.
Desmond, we're coming back to you.
A holy panic me get when my parents talk to me and me still go do the wrong thing. They lick the devil out of me until I was, good and
I'm not supporting the licking out of the devil.
It worked for me, and that's part of the problem.
We're going to move on. And we want to thank those who have been sending their comments. And you can keep sending your comments. We'll take what we can. And I gave you also the number, WhatsApp number you can take. Now I want to go to Alia's wish, because Mary, you have some comments you want to help us with later on. But
yes, I don't have any comments on Alia as yet.
A 12-year-old girl is almost completely blind after facing medical issues at birth, which was premature. She was born premature. Surgeries that should have taken place did not occur. Her name is Alia Johnson. Machinery malfunctioned, the operating theaters, etc. All sorts of things happened, and she didn't get the surgery she needed. She got one surgery early when she wasn't even 3 months fully, and things went wrong in our system. Fact is, this little girl, and the full story, by the way, the full story is available on the North Coast Times website at northcoasttimesja.com, and I'm sure you will see it online now, on the website. No, that's the website. Now, fact is, this little girl cannot see except, as her mother says, a little bit of light. She is in a standard primary school at Lime Tree Gardens near to Brownstown. There's no special ed school is contemplated for her. She's going to a normal school. Don't want to use the word normal, but one of those schools which are standard across the country. Her mother is her official shadow. I think some of you understand what they call now a shadow in the education ministry system. Somebody who goes into the school and stays with the person, the child, who has a disability. So her mother gets a stipend to go into the school to stay with her. Remember, she can't see, she can hear what the teacher is saying. Mother relays all that information to her, etc. Now, Alia has repeated primary school, fifth grade, grade 5, because she can't follow the school. She can't go on. Now, her mother and her guidance counselor have been working very hard to get her surgery that she needs in her left eye, because her right eye is almost completely gone. But they believe, they've been told by an ophthalmologist that the surgery that she needs can be done. It doesn't have a lot of time, and the cost is $500,000 or $500,000 Jamaican dollars for the surgery. Now on the screen there is her mother's number, account number. The mother is Colette Codner. Don't want you to mix up the names. Colette Codner is the mother. The account number is 714-217-461 at Brownstown NCB. Brownstown NCB. It's a savings account. We're trying to get to $500,000. Please, you can help. You can help. You can give something. Is it $100? You know, you can do the transfer. You can go to the bank and stick it in the machine. No, she's begging. This little girl is 12 on the 30th of December. She would love the chance of getting her sight in this birthday. This is her New Year's gift. I'm sure we can give it and do it for her. You know, if you have been following this program, that I don't do this. We don't do this on this program. There are programs all over that someone help us. But let me tell you something. And I'm going to ask our panelists to make their comments right after this. I don't believe that any Jamaican child should go through this. You know. And by the way, since the story has gone up on the North Coast Times website, somebody communicated with us saying that if they get onto the St. Joseph Hospital, the system and the system there with the Cuban doctors and so on is meant for people like this. You know, I don't believe that these Jamaican children who are unfortunate to be ill in these particular ways and other illnesses and disabilities, I don't believe that they should go around and beg, you know, that we should beg for them, you know. I don't believe it. I believe that the government must find a way, a fund, a foundation, or whatever, to help them. They are Jamaican people. They are Jamaican children. They never did anything like this to deserve being hurt. And by the way, this is also an appeal directly to PATH. This mother has applied to get on the PATH. She has some other obligation, and they don't even respond to her yet. We're hard in a man.
Yeah.
My colleagues, it's your time to go ahead.
Okay, let me go. I think of as you were speaking a while ago, Franklin, I think of the National Health Fund when you say there should be the support, the National Health Fund when it comes to health issues. I believe that they should take care of that. I agree that people shouldn't go begging. But why people end up begging is that they see time going, nothing happening, and they just appeal to the wider public. So I am saying everyone who can just, it seems like the GoFundMe business, is not the first choice, but it is a choice that people make because things move so slowly that sometimes by the time they get the answer, it is too late. It is
Desmond, you can jump in. Mary, you want to give us some comments? I see some comments going on, your own comment.
Yes. We have people still commenting on the parenting issue. We have Owen Richards saying that some parents are not equipped to provide their children with the social skills that they need. Therefore, it's the state's responsibility to have systems in place for proper grounding for the children. We have Earl Jones, friends or histories is a source of our problems. Check the examples that decorate our history. Christopher Columbus and Henry Morgan. And I've asked Earl to expound some more on his comments so we get a better understanding. Carleen Smith, welcome. I see a plus. I give you another plus for that. And Marshall E. White says that if parent administers corporal punishment, Mary mentioned earlier, children's advocates would be quick to criticize him as being abusive parent. I am not speaking about abuse. I am speaking about correcting your child through flogging. No, but if you do it right, the child won't die. Nobody will accuse you of corporal punishment or abuse. And trust me, your child, like I am thanking my parents today, will thank you for it. When a child will tell a parent that putting down them Nintendo because they want to that, I'm not taking up them book, my mother gets the belt. And you know.
All right, Desmond, you have 30 seconds, Desmond.
No, what I can say is that in my household, I have grandchildren, and I still use how I was socialized. That is how I socialize them. So I don't provide them with what
I
don't. I get you. Don't
flog Desmond. You must not flog. We're going to deal with that in the new year. Mary, you have 30 seconds to tell us what what's your New Year's wish for us? How we must deal with the resolution.
Correct.
And then we're going to ask for the bank account number to get back on the screen. Desmond, stop the plugging. Go ahead, Mary.
Okay. Quickly for the New Year's, we just want to say that every beginning blooms from an ending. So the ending of a new year is actually an exciting time for me to see what the ending of an old year is an exciting time to see what the new year holds. This year, I'm going to say I have used it in my own life to achieve my goals, and I'm going to share this strategy with you. Just 3 things: be accountable, be disciplined, and be
Miriam,
diligent.
30 seconds. 30
I'm
seconds.
wrapping it up. Be accountable, be disciplined, and be diligent. Be diligent, because those 3 key habits are the keys to success. If you have a dream, live it responsibly, follow it through, and be on it. Because if you plant bad seeds, poverty arrives, and if you plant good seeds, prosperity.
We are wanting to thank
Happy
you
New Year
all. Thanks, Mary.
to you,
Thank
our
you
people.
all for the
Happy
show
New
for
Year.
today. It's episode 150 of the Frankly Speaking Jamaica Podcast. Thanks to Winnie, Anderson Brown, Mary White, Desmond Richards. You've served us all so well this year. We thank all of our special guests, and we thank particularly a man and with the controls and the technical work there, Joshua Black Media Services. We thank him very much. It's time to say special thanks to all of our guests of the program this year. Now, here's wishing all of you a safe season, a wonderful new year. I am Franklin McKnight. Until then.